It's Monday, the 11th of May 2020. This is the SRC Afternoon News. Human rights violations of the Indonesian crew members on Chinese fishing vessel. South Korean media, MBC, released an exclusive video showing the suffering of Indonesian citizens who work as crew members on Chinese fishing vessel. MBC reported there were deaths and human rights violations against Indonesian crew members on Chinese fishing vessel. This report was published because one of the crew members requested an assistance they submitted to the government of South Korea and MBC at the time when the vessel got into Busan port. The Environmental Justice Foundation, or AGF, also released a report from the Chinese fishing vessel. The 4 crew members reportedly died because they are not getting medical care decently. The crew members from Indonesia who reported this also revealed various human rights violations that they had experienced, such as physical violence and 18 hours of work a day, as well as illegal fishing activities by the Chinese fishing vessel. The report starts from the incident on the 13th of March in the Pacific Ocean. A coffin wrapped in red cloth was seen placed on the deck of Chinese fishing vessel. The coffin contained a corpse named Ari, a 24-year-old Indonesian crew member. After fishing for more than a year, he died on the vessel. The Chinese sailors around the coffin carried out a simple funeral procession. Before the death of Ari, there was a crew member named Alfata who was 19 years old, and 24-year-old Sepri also reportedly died. The 4 crew members all began working on the Longsing 629 in early 2019. The first crew died on the 21st of December, and the second crew died a few days later after being transferred to a similar Longsing 802. At the end of March, all crew members were moved to another ship to transit to Busan, South Korea. The third crew died on the way to Tianyu 8. The fourth crew died after arriving in South Korea. The crew who survived the ship reported that the victims died of swelling, chest pain, and difficulty breathing for several weeks, said the Maritime Executive Report. In their work contract, the ship owner is required to send the remains of their bodies back to their country after they were cremated. Colleges never imagined that Ari's body would be thrown into the sea. I knew I would cremate their bodies on the beach, said an Indonesian crew, identified as Indonesian Seaman A. Fellow crew members testified that conditions on the ship were bad and exploitation continued, and that crew members who had died previously complained about their illness for about a month. The captain was accused of refusing to go to the port to get proper medical treatment for sick crew members. The crew considers the death of the colleges as a result of poor water quality provided on the ship, although no autopsy was performed on the crew. They are only allowed to drink distilled seawater, while Chinese crew members are entitled to drink mineral water. Initially, I could not drink seawater that was filtered properly. I was dizzy, then sputum started to come out of my throat, said Indonesian Seaman B. The crew accused physical abuse by senior Chinese crew members of at least 2 Indonesian workers. They were told to work 18 hours a day, and in some cases 2 days continuously without rest. Sometimes, I have to stand and work for 30 consecutive hours, and I can't sit except when the rice comes out every 6 hours, said Indonesian Seaman A. However, they could not be free from the slavery. According to their contract, most crew members agreed to work with a monthly salary of $300, but many are paid only $42 per month, and the salary continues to be reduced for recruitment fees and security savings. 5 of the crews work at sea for 30 months, but only receive $120, or around 1,700,000 rupiah. So their monthly salary are only 137,000 rupiah. In addition to violating their employment contracts, this payment practice demonstrated forced labor, said the AGF statement. All crew members' passports were also confiscated by the captain on one ship when they began their work contracts. Crew members from Longsing 6 to 9 also reported industrial-scale illegal fishing and provided photographs and movies of shark fins, which were suspected as endangered species. Although the ship is registered as tuna catcher, the crew members say they catch sharks using special equipment so that they can catch more than 20 sharks a day. To fill 16 boxes full of shark fins, with each box weighing 45 kilograms. Various photographs provided by crew members show that some of the shark fins are endangered species, including hammerhead sharks and oceanic whitetips. The crew members said the shark fins were put in boxes and moved between ships to be taken to the port and salted. South Korea can immediately conduct an investigation because in 2015 the country ratified international protocols to prevent human trafficking, including forced labor and sexual exploitation. We have revised the criminal code to ratify the protocol and implement it. In this trade case, we have to investigate this in Korea because universal jurisdiction is enforced, said lawyer Kim Jong-chol of Advocate for Public Interest Law, or APIL. APIL and AGF called for an investigation by Chinese and international authorities on the incident on the ship. Severe exploitation occurs in this case, which is only the tip of the iceberg. We must understand the structural and contractual mechanisms that prevent these people from leaving their jobs and being forced to work, even when they face very serious illness and real human rights violations. This includes human trafficking and forced labor. This is an example of human trafficking that is highly related to illegal fishing, said APIL's lawyer Kim Jong-chol. AGF Executive Director Steve Tran added, "This is a surprising case that reminds that changes are needed in the global seafood sector." To protect profits amid a decline in fish population, operators are committing human rights violations and refusing basic crew members' medical treatment. This is probably because most of the global fishing industry operates in the shadows, away from the government and public attention, said Trent. We need a radical step towards fisheries transparency, for the sake of not only marine ecosystem, but people who depend on the sea for food and livelihoods, Trent said. However, the Chinese fishing boat had gone to the high seas, and South Korean media were told that the ship could not longer be investigated by South Korean side. The report also added that crew members were quarantined in Busan and asked the South Korean government to conduct a thorough investigation. They said that they wanted to tell the world about the human rights violations they had experienced. That is the SRC Afternoon News. Thanks for watching. I'm Vania Ozora. Have a great day.